9 months of having this copy, and I haven't watched it until now. Probably. I was thinking, man, that's probably not a good sign. Maybe this movie actually isn't as good as I remember. And it is not. It used to be like, if I was going to rate it, it'd be like an 8 out of 10. It went down to like a 7 out of 10. So it's still good, but it's got flaws that are more apparent now. Mainly the effects. Now, this is an impressive movie because it was filmed on a Hollywood studio lot. And so, like, everything in the jungle is fake. But it looks weaker now, but it's still not bad. Like, good effects will always be good effects. Like, Independence Day looks kind of cheesy and bad, but, like, there are moments of that movie that I still think, like, effects-wise still actually look pretty good, and they're pretty awesome. And same thing here. But I just think it'll get weaker and weaker as the years go by in the effects-wise. And I think that's why I was so afraid to revisit it. A movie that deals so heavily in effects. Also, it could be a situation like Avatar, where everybody loved the movie because of the effects, and then you rewatch it and you realize the story here is garbage. I can't say it is. So it's, it's the classic story of the Jungle Book, but I think with more depth and less filler. There's still filler, like you should have cut King Louie out of this movie. There was no reason he needed to be in it. And this movie was actually 1 hour 50 minutes, so that would have made it probably 1.5 hours, which is a good runtime. You didn't need King Louie in the movie. He was the weirdest part. Everyone says he was the weirdest part. His face is weird because it looks like Christopher Walken and an ape. It looks freaking weird and messed up, and I don't want to see that. I like Christopher Walken, but I don't like him as an ape. That's just a weird sentence that should come out of no one's mouth ever, but it happened. I do think a lot of the voice acting here, right? You got Bill Murray, Ben Kingsley, Idris Elba. A lot of those people give fantastic voices to these characters in this movie. I will say, though, Scarlett Johansson as Ka is freaking weird casting. And she just gives the most vanilla-sounding voice in a really important scene that should be way more entertaining, but because of her terrible voice, I think it's a really weak scene. Also, it's just kind of awkward how they deliver the exposition, which the exposition is that Shere Khan actually got a fight with Mowgli's father and got his face burned. That's how he got his scar, which is much better depth than the animated version where it just didn't happen, where there just is no reason for that, for him to hate Mowgli besides, fire. But was he affected by fire? We don't know. Maybe, And, this, I will say, though, this movie, spoiler, I guess, ends very differently than the animated movie. They leave the jungle. Mowgli leaves the jungle, which is the point of the novel and should have happened in this version. It's the point of the whole story in general. But he didn't leave. But they decided not to do that. And the scene doesn't make very much sense, right? Because he starts a whole fire and everyone's afraid of him. And Shere Khan's like, oh my gosh, you're becoming man. And how much cooler would it have been if Mowgli, by the end of the movie, had become this vicious killer who, like, murdered Shere Khan? I know this is kind of dark for a Disney movie, but it would have made the film better, so I'm going to say it. He kills Shere Khan with the fire. And not like he falls off a tree branch and dies like the way he did in the movie, but he falls to his... But he actually dies because Mowgli killed him with the fire, and he got burned alive. And maybe you don't see it, like it cuts away to it, but you don't see it, and he burns. And Mowgli looks on in horror, is like, what did I just do? And realizes, I am a man. I can't be away from my own kind because this is what I will become. I need to be with people. And that should have been the end of the story. It's a darker ending, but it would have made it it would have made it a lot better and just giving it the film more depth and kind of themes and ideas it was exploring. It was really good, but I think at times the voice acting here is not as good as the animated version, which is to be expected, but I think the effects are beautiful still and really well done. I think it's weird every time they try to insert one of the songs from the animated version. I get they're beloved, people love them, but you're just inserting them into this movie where they have no place. The tone of this movie is actually pretty dark, and it's a good tone for this type of story, but just when you throw those characters in, it's really weird. But I still like this movie. It's the only Disney live-action remake of an animated film that I like at all. I'm hoping Mulan will change that and actually be better, because there are a lot of flaws with the animated version of Mulan, and I think that movie can make it better. And I think this is what they should be. Movies that were not that great to begin with, and they improve upon them. They have great aspects. Sure, the originals have great aspects, but let's improve upon them and make a stronger story. And that's exactly what this movie did. And I enjoyed that. I appreciated it. And it's definitely not a movie I'm going to rewatch all that often, but I still appreciate it for what it is.